he's a big Christopher Reeves fan. So the little curl in the front was a dedication to Christopher Reeves and Superman.
Welcome to the Pop Kulture Klub. If you've seen our past episode, you saw we did an episode with Marco Ziedelman. I think I got it right. And we talked about Breakin, Breakin 2, Sam Furstenberg, Canon Films, the whole thing. Well, we decided to bring my good friend, VQ, you'll see down here. And he is actually the son of Shabba Doo. So he's got a whole bunch of information, a perspective. We're going to talk about what he's doing, what he's into, and he has some information even to extend the conversation about Canon Film. So, BQ, we want to welcome you to the show, brother.
All right. Thank you for having me. Gentlemen.
Yes, sir. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good. How are you gentlemen doing?
We are fine.
We all right.
Fine.
Chill.
Okay. Same here. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to start this off with the first question. I'm sorry, I got to do it.
Okay, here we go.
Why was it Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo called Breakin' 2 Turbo's Girl?
That you probably have to ask Michael Chambers.
Because these two will tell you, every time we talk about it, it's Turbo's Girl.
Right.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
He was something.
Yeah. And I get
do you know anything about did you hear anything about the casting or of Breakin' 2?
Okay, well, first off, let me say thank you, Ultrabag. But my I don't really know too much about the productions of Breakin' 1 and 2. I have just a couple stories, that my dad told me about concerning part 1 and 2, but I have like no great detail on
the
casting decisions and things like that, other than my father. So I just want to make that clear. Yeah. Go ahead.
When did you know that your father was this dancing, hip hop, music legend? At what age did you know? Hey, wait a minute, my dad is somebody. When did you know? What age were you when you realized that?
Probably after Breakin' 1. I knew that there was obviously fame there because of him being in the lockers and things like that, and doing what's happened and doing television shows and things like that. But it really didn't dawn on me until like pop icon status, probably to after Breakin' 1. When after the first movie came out, well, first of all, let me set up how I found out even about Breakin'. I was watching Give Me a Break.
That was a show.
Right. I was watching Give Me a Break in my grandmother's den in Compton, and they had the commercial had the trailer. And I remember whoa, that's Dad in the trailer. So I just get up and my mother was in the other room, and I said, did you know about this movie? Did you know about Breakin'? She goes, yeah, your dad told me he had some movie that was coming out called Breakin', but I guess it was supposed to be a surprise, right? Not thinking about the trailers and stuff. And my mom's like, oh yeah, well, cat's out the bag now. And so because it was released May 4th, 1984, and it was like maybe a couple weeks that the film had come out that I discovered it. So I'm like, wow, he's in the movie. So when we went to the movie to see Breakin' 1, I remember going, wow, it was a packed house. We went to a theater in Lakewood, and just the reaction to the movie. I was in the parking lot, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is big. And then when the articles start to remember a thing called newspapers? And when the articles started to come out, I went to a school called George Washington's in Compton, right around the corner from my house. And I just remember, is this your dad? Is this your dad? Is this you? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, it is. I'm like, oh man, man, we love that movie. And then after that,
you were school famous. You were school famous then. That's his son right there.
What?
Yeah, how old were you?
I was about 7, 8 around that time.
Elementary.
And so
you ain't even have to trade your lunch for that. You ain't even gotta trade your lunch. What you eat? Let me go ahead for that. That's his son. Give him your sandwich, man. That's his son.
Right. And so after that, another thing that happened was Dad got a brand new Jaguar and decided to come to Compton to my grandmother's house with Pop and Chaco, and that whole neighborhood swarmed to my grandmother's house.
Imagine. Can you imagine?
Right,
Oh my.
right.
Oh.
And yeah, I was like, oh wow. So that going to the malls, it was just hectic. At 7, you seeing all of this at 7. 8 years old. Yeah. Going to the malls and having people lock in front of them, having people break in front of them. And after a while,
hold on. I got something for you. Check this out.
Yeah, all the time.
Yo, hold on. Was it anything? You used to hear these old stories about like Bruce Lee and people trying to like fight him randomly in the street and everything. Did people try to battle your father?
Not that I know of, but I do remember people trying to show him that
they stuff.
Yeah, they stuff, right? And Dad was like, "Oh man, good," and but he's with me, so we're like trying to hurry up and get about the ball. So that's when I really began like, damn, this it's one thing doing television and doing what he was doing, but when you start entering movies, it just you're larger than life, so to speak. You're on a 70-foot screen. You know what I'm saying? So then you start getting into magazines and things like that. So it was wild. 1984 and 85 was crazy. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Because him and Shrimp were basically icons. I mean, in real time. It wasn't like they were in real time. I can imagine. I lived in Philly, so I could just imagine them walking down. We would be like, oh my, I'd be like, oh my god. I'd have locked. I would have locked it. I wasn't a great locker, but I would have locked it in front of him. Check this out.
My like I said before, my dad already had fame just based on being on Soul Train, the Lockers, and touring with Bill Cosby to who else? I think Frank Sinatra, Dick Van Dyke Show, Carol Burnett. Wow. So he was already, famous. It was the movie, and because of this new art form of hip hop, is where he went really catapulted and gave him a new set of fans and stuff like that. So
at that point, the media wanted. At that point, the media wanted. If you had anything periphery to hip hop, the media wanted you. You wanted, like you said, magazines, newspapers, all of that. The local shows. Everybody wanted to be a part of that. Doing that movie at that point was just an inflection because it just like you said, the shot. We started seeing Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone, doing Flintstone cartoons, rapping, and I was just like, wow. It just took another life.
But it's before the movie, if I'm not mistaken, he had been offered things before Breakin. I think one of the films he was first offered was Body Rock, which he turned it down. All right,
that was a good move.
Which he turned down, and I think he was on tour with Lionel Richie at the time.
Oh wow!
Before the movie, and got the call, and they all had to leave and do Breakin' One. So so Dad was already touring.
Okay.
Right, this film came out and worked with Lionel Richie and people like that.
I was just going to ask when, so when you're young and you
Mhm.
you see all of this stuff happening or whatever, did you ever have the bug to start dancing yourself or?
No.
You was the only one because everybody was doing it.
No, I was shy, man. I didn't want to learn, even though he tried to teach me, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable. Now that being said, sometimes I do wish to have learned.
Right.
And quiet as a cat, I can dance, but I just choose not to. But people expect that from me. Dad and our bond was actually cinema. Dad was a big storyteller, or should I say, he enjoyed storytelling. Before the break-in stuff, before all that, but he would always watch a lot of Bob Fosse. He would watch a lot of MGM classical movies. That ultimately Breakin' 2 became. Nicholas Brothers, the Berry Brothers, Panama Hattie, so he was always immersed himself in movies, dance, storytelling, and he always wanted to be in the movies. That was it. So when he finally got the opportunity, he was more than happy. He was like, "Yeah, this is a wonderful opportunity." So that was always our bond. When we get on the phone, it would not. Well, he would talk about dance, but we would mainly talk about cameras. We would talk about, again, movies. Like, oh man, this director has a wonderful eye. Check this out. This is what I'm working on. He would write screenplays himself. So that's where the film bug really, or me really understanding the mechanics of what filmmaking is from him.
Okay.
Right.
Nice.
Because let me say, he was not just one note guy. Dad was all, as the mafia would say, he has many fingers in the pie. He did photography himself. He didn't hire a photographer. He did it himself. Movies that he wanted to see, he wrote it himself. He learned. He loved technology. You know what I'm saying? He was always, always thinking one step ahead. And so that's where I get that from. Not the one step ahead part, but at least the the enjoying the filmmaking aspect and stuff like that, and technology. But yeah, he was a real tech and a comic book head. So at that too. Wow. Yeah. Little fun thing too. One of his favorite superheroes, or another bond that we had was he was a big Superman fan and a big Christopher Reeve fan. And
that's the only Superman that matters to me. That's the only Superman. That's the only Superman that matters.
Matters to this day. And we used to talk about Superman 1 and 2, just how phenomenal films that they are. He's a big Christopher Reeve fan, so the little curl in the front.
Oh wow!
A dedication to Christopher Reeves and Superman.
Wow!
So he always had. So he had the
little,
right, and so. He was a big Superman head. So that's a little tidbit for you right there.
Wow. Coincidentally, right? I was watching a bunch of trailers for this Christopher Reeve movie, Street Smart. Was it Street Smart?
Street Smart.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, what did he think? What did he think of this? Because obviously, most of it was focused on Morgan Freeman. The trailers that I was seeing. But what did he think about? Because this came after Superman, right?
No, it came. Well, I know what we going, Chucky. It's after Superman because it came out like around '86, I believe, and it was a passion project that Christopher Reeves wanted to make, kind of step away from the Superman stuff. But funny enough, Canon ended up making their own Superman in '87 with Christopher Reeve. So it could have been a trade-off. Like, well,
the story I read was that he would only do Superman 4 to Fresh for Peace if they funded Street Smart.
Street Smart.
That was the only way he would do it.
Right.
I mean, it started to tail off when Superman 3, but when you saw Superman 4, you was like, yeah, he's doing this for the bread. He got, he doing this for the bread because what was it, Nuclear Man? I was just like,
Man.
He wasn't it.
But to answer your question, he actually really enjoys Street Smart.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but now I want to see it because I was thinking that I was thinking of maybe we could do an episode about greatest TV and movie slaps.
Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Street Smarts, I think it has one. This is a top notch.
Right. Yeah. That's
Greatest movie slaps.
Yeah, no. I know the scene you're talking about. I read mine, you dig? I read mine. I read mine. Yeah. And the bop. Hey, wait a minute, bop. Yeah.
Yo. That is a great movie slap. That's a great movie slap right there. That is.
Because it was so even think about it. It is like secondhand.
He did it right.
That like, hey, get out
talking? Are you speeding? What?
Yeah, right.
So when you were younger, would you see people coming by the house? Like, would Mr. Penguin come by the house? Would Toni Basil or any of the lockers come by the house?
By that time, no. Well, my mother and father divorced around 82, 83. We were living in Compton at the time. So, dad will come by, or even before that. Let me take a step back for a second. When my mother and father lived together, were married, in Stanton, you would have people like the Electric Boogaloos come by and practice. Shout out to my Uncle Marv, Pete, and all those guys. But then you also have, I never met Toni Basil until much later, but she had a boyfriend named Spaz, and
don't get jealous, Aaron.
Yeah, and right, and he was into the punk rock scene real heavy, and so coming by the apartment with dog collars and spiked hair, and and which was really wild because at one point, because of Tony and Spaz, my dad got affiliated with that whole CBGB crowd in New York City. And but yeah, he got real heavy. And so but to answer your question, no, I've never met Penguin. And I've never met Don. I knew Greg. Rest in peace. Fuki I've never met. And I just recently met Slim.
Okay.
So but yeah, that's as far as I go. The lockers. I've always heard the locker stories because of my mother and of course dad, stuff like that. But yeah.
Right. So just putting it together. So your father and your mother met on Soul Train.
Soul Train, correct?
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's serious.
Yeah. And I want to say 74, 75 around that time. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta look at some old episodes. Maybe we can see the moments where the sparks.
the moments.
now, from my understanding, their first date or the first whatever you want to call it, courting or was my dad was either hosting a dance contest. I want to say Blueberry Hill. I could be wrong. It was one nightclub, and my dad was hosting, and my mother was there, and they communicated, or whatever. But they met officially on Soul Train. But Pops by then was in a group and had an agent, so he couldn't dance on the show because he's being managed by an agency. You know,
Can't give it away for free. Can't give it for that's giving away for free. Can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
The two pieces meal ain't gonna work. I'm gonna need some real money now. Need some bread now.
Right. But even though he did still get on the show, but couldn't, be seen because of representation, things like that. Mm-hmm.
Great.
I did tell you about what was it, Lucille Ball. I think that was the story.
You started it, but you didn't finish about the backgammon.
Oh well, no. It was a television show that that was a part of. I don't know if it was something for charity or what, but I guess it was like a number of days. Then we recorded this show, and so when Dad and my mother went, Lucille Ball was back there, and she goes, "Anybody want to play backgammon?" And she goes, "How about you? You want to learn how to play backgammon?" And my mother was like, "That's Lucille Ball, you better say yeah." And so she goes, "Well, come over," and she taught my dad how to play backgammon, and I believe chess, a little bit of chess.
Wow.
So that's one of my many stories. But a little bit about me. I've always been surrounded by entertainment. It was, like I said before, mother and father met on television. I hear all these television stories, and then I had an auntie, right? May she rest in peace, my aunt Viola. She was a maid for many stars as well. Ralph Bellamy and Harry Morgan. So I would always hear these stories, like, like gave me Harry Morgan gave me this and that. So it was always these stories about Hollywood that kind of put me on the path of liking movies. And my birthday, if you guys are Star Wars heads, my birthday is May 25th, 1977, which was the release of Star Wars. So there's all these little, all these things in which my dad was a Star Wars head. I remember he bought me went to, what's that store in New York City? Was it F.A.O. Schwartz?
F.A.O. Schwartz.
F.A.O. Schwartz. So pardon me. Darth Vader's ship. And I wish to this day I still had it.
I wish I got a Millennium Falcon, the big one with the hidden cap in 1978. I can remember running around the house because it was. And for people watching that don't understand, the Millennium Falcon. See how wide my hands is? That's how big it was. It was that.
And the handle
big.
came out. It came out
exactly. It was. They don't even make toys like that no more. I mean, it was that, and I remember running around the house with it. I mean, it's just like you said. I wish I still had it.
Yeah,
I got some Star Wars stuff downstairs that we bought the kids, but I don't have that. I wish I did.
I had the Death Star with the foam trash. With the trash compactor at the bottom.
Okay, so you got into films. Did you have any particular genre that you were into, like yourself? Anything in particular you were drawn to, or just films in general?
Films in general, but okay. So let's take as we go a little something like this. Hit it. So after my mother and father divorced, we moved back to Compton. There was a family named the Bolton family that lived right down the street from where we lived. And if you remember in the good old days, if you had one VCR, that was a lot of money. They had
right
two.
Here. See that right there in the corner? See that dude right there in the corner? He probably had one in every room. Tell him, man, you had one in every room. It wasn't nothing for them. It was nothing for them.
Yeah, they had two. And so they had this den, and they had all these videos up there. And I used to just watch them, right? And of course, Superman's was being watched, and Dirty Harry's, and then that was another thing too. On KCOP was a Channel 13 network. They would have the Friday night movie, or sometimes the afternoon movie, where they would play stuff from Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood, and the spaghetti westerns and stuff like that. And so ultimately, I was hooked. So a lot of action-oriented martial arts stuff I gravitated to. Even to this day, I still enjoy movies about I'll say male action films was more of my speed. So, and so yeah. So
I
Clint,
mean,
Charles, Chuck Norris,
Bronson, oh,
you know what I mean? And,
Delta
you know,
Force with Lee Marvin.
oh
Like
my
I tell them all
God,
the time,
yeah.
I watched all of Lee Delta Force and Charles Bronson. Death Wish, that movie, the first time I saw it, I was mesmerized by the first time. I was like, first time I saw Death Wish, I was like, wow, they did that?
Right. See, my movie of Charles Bronson was Mr. Majesktyk.
Oh, that was that
was my movie, Mr. Majesktyk.
What was that? What was that? I don't know if I saw it or not.
Mr. Majesktyk was Charles Bronson played a watermelon farmer.
Okay.
Okay. And he was being muscled by this guy to have workers on his field. But Charles Bronson wanted, Mexican workers. And there was that conflict. So anyway, Charles Bronson ends up beating this guy. Like, you don't come on my field trying to muscle me and try to force me to have workers on my field. So Charles beat him up. Dude calls the police and has him arrested. And he's tossed in jail and he ends up meeting a guy named Frank Renda, who's a mafia hitman. And they go at it. And Frank Renda is like, no, excuse me. Charles Bronson's like, hey, you mind if I have your sausage? And then Frank Render's like, tells us on the floor, like, there you go. You can have it. So Charles Bronson's like, well, never mind. But the point is that Charles Bronson is never rattled or not moved by this guy's status as a mafia hitman. He's just like, I'm tough too. So you have this prison break happen. And Charles Bronson and Outlet, I can't pronounce his name, but I'm going to call him Frank Renda, are on the lam. But Charles Bronson's like, let me go. I'll give you Frank, but you got to let me go. Drop the charges. And so ultimately, that's not going to work for Frank. He doesn't want to go to jail. He's like, yo, you turned me in, you rat thing. He's like, listen, I got watermelons to pick. And if this is my only green card for me to get out, then I'm turning you in. So ultimately he gets free. And so now the hitman is like, oh no, I want revenge.
As they are trying to do. They are trying to get revenge.
Right. So it becomes a mano between Frank and Mr. Majesktyk. But it's such a the premise of it's silly, but it's one of those movies that it was based on an Elmer Leonard novel, Mr. Majesktyk. And he's ex-vet, and he's tough, but he plays it real cool, and he has some of the best lines ever. Like I'm getting ready to start acting here, but it's pardon me. There's a guy who's trying to muscle his way onto his fields, and he goes, Charles Bronson said some stuff. He goes, you make sounds like you're a mean little ass kicker. Only I ain't convinced. You keep talking, I'll take your head off, okay? and that line was so like, oh, you believe it, and he does it, and so yeah, it's probably one of my. I used to play it on KSUP, but so that was the beginning. I was watching a lot of films, and you don't, when you watch movies at a very young age, you don't know why you're drawn to what you're watching. You just are fascinated. But then as I got older, and this is where Dad comes in again, you start to understand cinematography, camera compositions, acting, lighting, and stuff like that. And so that's what you're drawn to. At least for me, that's when, and I always say there's two types of film watchers. You have those that enjoy sitting in the dark and watching a movie and going home. And when you ask that one question, how did they do that? That's when you start going right into the rabbit hole. And then your experience of watching a film compared to someone else is different because you start getting technical. When I started, I didn't like that because it was 40 minutes in and it didn't have this problem, screenwriting problems. Oh man, you just being technical. Oh, man, can't you just enjoy the movie? I'm like, you forgot. I entered the rabbit hole. I'm like, dude, with Tank looking at the Matrix, and right, all the words on the computer. So that's what happened to me. It's like I started to ask those questions to how they do that.
Nice. So there was no there was no specific movie that was like a life changer where it set you on the path, or
Of course, Do the Right Thing.
okay.
Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Maybe you go, well, movies aren't just about entertainment. It's about, movies can actually speak to you and can make you feel things. Well, at this point, I was a Spike Lee fan. And let me say this here. I was a Spike Lee fan. Before all this film shit became cool to like, right? I was a Spike fan. People are like, what is the fascination with a little skinny black man with glasses? Going, please, please. They didn't understand it, right? They knew about the Jordans, they knew Mars, but I knew him as a filmmaker. And so it was like, well, what's the big deal? This film was not something that was cool yet.
Right.
Film was something that old men like. Brothers would be like, hey man, I'm getting ready to go watch the Laker game. What you getting ready? You can watch the game? No, I'm getting ready to watch Siskel and Ebert. so already I'm catching heat. What what? So when we get around to Do the Right Thing, because I had seen School Days and stuff like that, but when we get to Do the Right Thing, I was fascinated. I always say, people have their picks. People could say Beat Street, people could say Wild Style, sometimes even Breakin. Thank you. People have their favorite hip hop films. For me, the definitive best hip hop film ever made, or had the energy of hip hop film, Do the Right Thing. You don't have to have a lot of rappers in it. You don't have to have dance sequences in there every minute. It struck to the heart of young Black America, young New York City. And it took the energy of a rap record and threw it up on the screen better than anybody. It felt like authentic soul food. Someone made this from experience versus, and this is not to crap on any writer, but it felt organic and real. Spike Lee is the director of the B-boy era, and it felt like that. Like when you look at it, it's unapologetic, it's energetic, stylish, in your face, says shit that might offend you. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I loved it. I remember sitting in that theater when it came out, and the tension was so heavy, you could cut it with a knife. To when we get to the part of John Turturro's character explaining the difference between what's black and what's N-word, and gave that bullshit analogy. I remember his sister was like, "Oh, this is bullshit," and got up and stormed. And I was like, "Oh, this is cinema. This is cinema." And so when we got to 90s, I started to look at movies a lot different. That's when I started really getting into the Martin Scorsese. That's when I really started looking at De Palma and started to, not only just the director, let me check out their body of work. What's the DP? All this stuff, right? So that's on my discovery. So when we get to about 95, my dad went to film school, it was on and cracking because his living room became ground zero for filmmaking. It was like, you're not going to look at something the same way again. We're going to look at it and dissect scene for scene. And that an hour and 30-minute movie turned into 5 hours.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I was gonna say, when you talk about Do the Right Thing, the thing that comes to mind when you were in it, it was on the hottest day. You were in that theater, in the air conditioned theater, but you felt the heat that they were, and you can, and there's a way you can shoot that. It's not just showing somebody sweating, but just the whole action of them walking in there, or the guy sitting under the umbrella, and it just looked hot. And you was like, man, it look hot as shit out there. Like, no, it's hot as shit out there.
Right. Thanks to brilliance of both Spike and Ernest Dickerson. The lighting and everything.
Didn't Ernest get his own? What did he do? What was the movie he did? What was the?
He directed Juice.
That's what did. Okay, I knew it was one. I don't know why I was thinking something else, but it was Juice.
Yeah, he directed Juice, and yeah, but you know, just like you said, for me, Do the Right Thing was the game changer for me.
Nice.
You know, it was just like, whoa, this is impactful. And the funny thing is, before I went to go see Do the Right Thing, I had a neighbor named Willie, and this brother had a high top fade that was phenomenal. This brother's fade was like, I was like, damn, look at your shit. I mean, he had the parts, the name, the whole joint. He looked like Pasta News. Seriously, he had the African medallion on. And I remember going because we used to play rap tapes. So it was part of so I used to knock on his door. I'm like, yo, Will, man, you see Do the Right Thing? I said, he goes, you see Do the Right Thing yet? I'm like, not yet. He goes, fuck Sal. And I said, that was the review.
Fuck Sal.
And so I'm like, oh, this is gonna be hot. And so but yeah. Boy, take a trip down memory lane on that one. Yeah, my brother's like Pasta News. Straight up, man.
Nice. And how many movies in was that for Spike Lee?
That was 2. Well, actually,
three. He's gotta have it.
School Days, and then
Do the Right Thing.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I think School Days was the one that was closer for us because at the time I think we were in university when this. No, wait, hold on. When did Do the Right Thing come out?
1989.
1989. Okay, so School Days. Maybe we were watching the reruns because then by the time School Days, we were in university. We started seeing the reruns, and then we're like kind of living this.
It was on VHS, so we could watch it. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
At first, you know, for those who didn't know, I saw School Days on pay-per-view. They had advertised for pay-per-view. And I'm like, what is this movie? Because at first, like so many other people, I thought, is this a different world? The movie? I'm like, what? Because you know, Ron, Kadeem Hardison and everyone from Jasmine Guy. So I'm like, wait a minute. So I ordered it and fell in love with it ever since. So much so that I can call Monty Ross, one of the producer of the school, a good friend, man, and one of my first people I got to interview. That's how much I'm a Spike Lee fan I am. Anyone knows that my podcast, people I've interviewed have been part of the 40 Acres and a Mule camp. From Monty to Cinda, Ultra, to John Kennedy Terrell, Eric Payne. I mean, Leonard Thomas. So I went down the whole Spike roster.
Nice.
So
I saw Spike Lee on the street one day. We were in New York. I think it was me and Kyle, while we were in university. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and it was who was the star of Girl 6?
Teresa Randall.
Teresa Randall. I wanted to say Teresa Russell, but I knew that wasn't right. Teresa Randall.
That's the Black Widow. That's the Black Widow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they both kind of dope too. But I saw first Teresa Randall on the street, and I mean I knew I recognized her, but I didn't really recognize her or whatever. But then like a couple seconds later, then Spike comes down the street, and then they're just like standing on the corner talking somewhere, and it was like a crazy scene. And then a little bit later, I don't know actually how much later it was, but then Girl 6 comes out, and then I start putting it together. Like, okay, all right, yeah.
With the Prince soundtrack.
Yeah, of course.
That's your man. You just brought up your podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
I was always told that I should do a podcast because I talk so much about cinema. I have so much information in my head, and I didn't want to do one. So my good sister and co-host, Amori Amin, was like, every time we got on the phone, she would slip the podcast in. I don't care what it was about. It could have been making pancakes, whatever. She would fit or crowbar the podcast into the conversation. I'm like, God damn it, Natasha. So so she would send me things like on air, like this. She has this sign called on air. And I'm like, you are relentless. She goes, Sean, your voice is necessary. You need to be out there and get your podcast going. And so I kept brushing it off. So Bully, my co-host, he's another who applied a little bit of pressure. We would get into conversations about movies. And I remember it was one part where it was what happened. It was like a challenge drop where I forgot who it was. I was trying to get this actor to either send me a PDF file for a screenplay or something. And I kept talking about this, and I remember Philly issued the chat. He probably remember, but he's like, "Hey man, B, if you don't get that podcast, I don't even gonna believe you know these people." and he started. He goes, "Bro, I know you scared. You gotta do it. You gotta do it, B. You know, man." I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm gonna do it, if you gonna go with, man, I'm with you. With and I'm thinking like, this dude, this is Jurassic 5.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, I said, "Are you gonna do it?" He goes, "Man," I said, "Okay, November, something. I'm like J. Rue Damager. There's no turning back. I don't care if it looked jacked up, nothing. We're gonna do it." And we did it on a Saturday afternoon. Our first episode was the Holiday Fall, the Western, the Netflix Western. And once the fear was over,
right,
it took off. It was like, oh, okay, so let's do another one. So we did another one. I forgot what the episode. And then our first guest was Ben Ramsey, who wrote The Big Hit. Okay. And so we like, oh damn, we got our first guest. We got, oh like, we got, and so thank Amori and Fully Love for really putting pressure on me to do it. Those two are definitely my lifesaver. After after my pops passed, I was in a kind of a little state of depression and didn't know what to do. Just kind of lost a little bit. And so here comes Amori. John, right now, you need to put your mind into being creative and and not necessarily take my mind off my dad, but it would help if you do something active with your mind.
Right.
And so she got on the show with us too. Nice. And so thank you again to Tasha and Fully, man. Love you both. So yeah, I was just shocked that Fully wanted to do the show with me, man. Come on, B, man. Who cares? If they gonna be trolls and they be clowning your hair and B, you gotta do it, B. He's like my coach.
You sound just like him.
Oh man, that's my brother. Hey man, you get out there and you can do it, man. I know you you got all them you be knowing who had a turkey sandwich behind the scene. Man. Nice. Right. So I was like, if you do it with me, then and so 3 years later, me and Fully Love are tougher than leather. Nice. We still doing it. So
there is a gift to knowing useless knowledge. I tell them all the time. There is a gift to knowing useless movie facts. I met VQ because on my page I like doing, and I found out he was just as big as a 70s movie fan as I was, because I would post something and people would say, "Well, what's the name of that movie?" And before I would say something, he'd already had written up the name of the movie, the year it came out, and who directed it. So I'm like, who is this dude? Right. So I went on his page. I'm like, oh, okay, let me get down with this. Whoa, let me find out what's up. And you see, I'm wearing my Across 110th Street shirt today. I had to represent Across 110th Street.
Hey, DeSilvio.
Hey, DeSilvio. Yeah? You ain't never gonna make it, you know that? What are you, 40, 45 years old? You were a punk errand boy when you married the boss's daughter, and you're still a punk errand boy.
Ain't nothing but an errand boy.
Yeah, you're nothing but an errand boy.
Nice.
But hey, man, I know him. What's up? Would you like? He robbed him. He said, "Hey, man, what's up? What you think is up? You dumb son of a bitch! I'm robbing you."
Yeah, right. But the purpose of my podcast is really taking two things that I absolutely love, which are rap and cinema, and combining the two. I originally, the show I wanted to use Yo Bum Rush the Show. That was gonna be the original name, and I'm like, Chuck is not gonna go for that. Now, mind you, this is I've only met Chuck one time, but I knew C-Doc, and this is before I met Ultramag. I was like, I want to use a name that combines both, like I said before, my two loves, but I wanted it to be edgy and all this kind of stuff, and pay homage to one of my favorite groups of all time, PE. So I'm sitting in this very same chair. I look over and see Fear of a Black Planet. And everyone on IG, everyone on IG has all these cool nicknames, right? And so I'm like, well, let me think of a name. So I looked over that album cover and took the planet off and put Film Critic.
Nice.
And voila, there you have it. And so
Perfect name. It's the perfect name.
Thank you. And so I'm like, well, Fully, what you think about that? The name, cool, man. See that? Oh yeah, it's cool, Sean. Yeah, cool, Sean. Yeah, very cool. and then my friend who I'm pretty sure Ultramag may know, he's a comic book writer. His name is David Walker. He made wrote for Iron Man, Power Fist, and all kinds of stuff. Not Luke Cage, but he's like, V, yeah, I like Fear. You should keep Fear. Yeah, you should keep. But see,
what do I sound like in your head? Because you be doing
well, see, it's not even just about doing the voice. You have to, as actors say, you have to get a character. Yeah. If I've been around you long enough, trust me, I can emulate you.
I see it. You're good.
But C-Doc is like, yeah, cool, look, yeah, cool, yeah, like it. Yeah, man, yeah. And I talked to Chuck, and he said, yeah, you can use the name.
Nice.
All right. So the podcast is just basically to commemorate and respect films of the 90s. I always felt like the 90s were my 70s, if that makes sense. The 90s, I mean, people can't fathom the idea of just there were a plethora of black movies that were around this time. Like for me, 91 was really the kickoff year. New Jack City, Boys in the Hood, Five Heartbeats, Strictly Business, Jungle Fever, all in 1 year. Right? And it was just like, man, going to every Saturday seeing this stuff. So that's what my podcast is really set up for, to commemorate and pay respect to many of the black filmmakers. We don't look at our artists, filmmakers, to be serious. One podcast, I'm not going to mention their name. I'm not going to blow their spot, but it was one podcast, it was a black podcast. I kind of felt like they were kind of low-key disrespecting the black movies. Right. And I'm like, no, but guys like Barry Michael Cooper, the Mario Van Peebles, rapping aside. Right. People don't really know about, Doug McHenry and George Jackson, or Darren Scott, or people like Robbie Reed or Jackie Brown, the casting agent, not the movie. Who don't know about people like John Demps, who don't know about the Malik Saeeds, who don't know about the Ernest Dickersons, who don't know about Preston Holmes or Preston Whitmore or Preston Holmes. So, there's a lot of movers and shakers who don't get the opportunity to interview. Like, I'll give you an example. Darren Scott, who produced Men's Society, he was at I was at a screening for Men's Society, and he was talking about how when he came to Hollywood, there were no black producers, zero, none. He didn't meet none. I'm like, well, I don't know who you were meeting or you did meet, but Doug McHenry and George Jackson already had films out in the theatrical space, not independent, not straight to video. No, Crush Groove, Doug McHenry, George Jackson. Barry Gordy was producing Last Dragon. You had who else I was trying to think of, but you know, maybe that came a little bit later, but to say that there were none is just false. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, we need to get them on record, you know, and to because they shouldn't be just funneled off into obscurity. I always keep them in my mouth, like, hey man, like, yo, you see, go on my Instagram page, constantly referencing Doug or Barry Michael Cooper or somebody in the business who deserve that recognition.
I ain't gonna lie, you said a whole bunch of names. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, yeah. I mean, these are all producers, writers, like, you know, it is because I brought his name up now. Preston Whitmore. You know, this is a guy who wrote, you know, he's constantly still writing, but you know, he wrote for Fled, he wrote treatments for NWA videos. You know, now he's big time. You know, wrote movies for John Travolta, but you would know because a lot of our black artists are not really given that spotlight to really shine and say, hey, this is what we did, or our accolades, right? You know, you look at someone like John Demps, who's a cameraman. This dude worked on Breakin' 1, shot that movie called The Walking Dead, not the TV show, the Vietnam movie. You know, I mean, who's constantly working. You don't know anything about him. You know, so hopefully it's my job to bring light to many of these artists. Were you gonna say, Hollis?
No, I was just I did work on a couple of film sets and it's a really interesting like you become this little family kind of, you get this, there's like, and there's a big network of people working on different projects and everything and recommending each other, and you know, and then when you're like locked in on a project and you spending so much time together and you know, you got a common goal, you know, obviously that everyone's trying to work towards, and it's an interesting experience to have, and obviously profession. But no, you know, people know the directors maybe, and they kind of, I don't even know if people really know producers or whatever. So when you get to like DPs and, you know, like the sound crew and everything, like, you know,
You got to be into the weeds. You got to really be into the weeds to know those names. You kind of
have to really know. You have to really know. So good, it's good that you're doing this, because obviously, even though people may have seen so much of someone's work, they would have no idea. You know what I mean?
Right.
About it. So it's good that you're doing this.
No, thank you. Well, you want to know some breaking tidbits? Please. No, because I remember Ultra Bag, he asked me to tell us one story, but part 2, a lot of people didn't know my dad was fired from part 2 for a little bit, or he held production up for a while. I guess he felt that because of the success of the first one, they needed more money. You know, they were doing tours at this point. I think Dad was on a Fresh Fest tour at this point.
That seems right. You know.
Yeah. Right. And so that wasn't gonna happen. They weren't trying to hear what Dad had to say. So he was let go. And then from my understanding, 3 weeks they're trying to find another replacement. I think the replacement, I have no proof of this, but I think Mario Van Peebles was supposed to be the replacement. I think. So okay. Well, ultimately they came to their senses and like, okay, what is it that you want? Dad's like, I want a pay increase and, you know, points on the movie. And he got the pay increase, but not the points. I think they went back to
they weren't doing that. They weren't
doing no points.
No.
Right. So, but yeah, that's one tidbit. Another tidbit was that I believe the original director for Breakin' One got fired, and Joe Silberg was then brought on to fix or to finish the movie, and had no idea what the street dance that they're doing, not know anything about breaking or hip hop or anything for that matter. So pulled my dad aside, said, hey, what do you see this movie? How, what's this movie about? And so my dad was like, well, the movie's about recognition. And as he damn say, got it. And they rewrote that script, from my understanding, in 3 days at a weekend. It had set up in a hotel, and we wrote this movie. And and it got in front of the cameras that Monday. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But I had the email that Joe Silberg sent my dad about, you were really the heart and soul of the movie, and really got me to understand what this film was about. Let me say this too. Speaking of going back to Ice-T, he said on an interview one time, Shabba Doo, he was already an OG because of locking. And he goes, I think it was either Combat Jack show. Rest in peace. Went on the show and said that, we were going to these clubs and they were hella dangerous. And, Shab came up there while we were filming and kind of bombarded his way into getting the part of Ozone. That ain't happening. Much respect, but no. One, I think Lynn Stallmaster was casting agent, if I'm not mistaken, and my dad was offered or had to go in and audition. And he took me to the place where they were having auditions.
Okay.
So the notion that they're shooting a movie already, and my dad just walked up in there and finessed his way to get the lead part, false. Much respect, OG, but that did not happen. They're not, money is being spent, time, manpower,
So Ice-T was signed on to the movie, had signed on to the movie before. This is what he was saying, that like Ice-T was
No, I don't know if he was signed before or after. The point I'm trying to make was, no, Dad had to audition.
Okay.
And he, his agent sent him out and he got casted. Right. I don't know anyone in movie business is just going to simply walk up and be like, Who directed? Let him know I'm here. Let him know I'm here, and I'll be right over here. Tell the director over here. So if you look at that movie, everyone from that document is basically in Breakin' One.
Except Van Damme. Except Van Damme. I don't remember Van Damme in the little speedo dancing and breaking and entering, but that might have been on the cutting room floor.
Right.
So he could have been down from there.
Right, John Claude, interesting.
I always wondered. You watch it, you go, what is he doing in that movie? What is John Claude Van Damme doing with that outfit on, clapping, and he's all with the shoulders and that.
Right. And
what are you
doing? Well, getting recognized because ultimately Cannon made Bloodsport.
And then he was gone.
Bloodsport, right? So, I just had to make my point on that one. That Ice-T story. I've never heard anything like that. Like, Shab, he came up to the club and. They were filming and I'm like, nah, I don't buy that.
Like he was just driving down the street. They doing what over there? All right, hold on. He probably just jumped out the car parked himself, and he walked into the bouncers, and everybody just parted. Where's the director? Right here.
Right.
He like Eddie from the Five Heartbeats.
Right. But no, Ice-T has some very wonderful things about that. But I just wanted to make that clear that no, anything like that, no, your agent, said, hey, this movie coming up, and I think you'd be perfect for it. You need to go audition for it, or or some offer being made, and that's what happened. I remember Dad took me to the actual place. He was like, yeah, I'll audition right there. I had to go in and read. I had costume that I wore in the film, and people liked that, and because they were trying to give him what they felt he should wear.
Right.
And so he's like, no, I'm wearing this. And so
yeah, that's cool, but I'm gonna stay with what this is. I'm gonna stay with this here.
And how did they come up with these character names?
That I don't know.
Because like now they're like so iconic. These are like such iconic character names that like as I might have told you before, like I have trouble thinking of your father, not being able to call him Ozone. Like to me, he's Ozone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like Shrimp is Turbo to me. You know?
Yeah.
So it's really
two nicknames, two big nicknames.
Because usually they come up with these lame ass names for the characters. Willie. Like
Chili Q,
Billy and Johnny, and
but you know what? Well, what was Lorenzo Nama's name in that terrible movie? What? Chili D. That sounds like somebody in the back room said, "Hey, we need a name for that." Chili D. Yeah, let's go for Chili D.
Exactly.
Chili D.
Right.
So they
not
came
calling
up
no
with
grown man Chili D.
They came up with like 2 dope names, and that I mean Kelly, she.
Special K, that was the cereal. So that was easy.
But it's interesting because a lot of people have a problem with the title Breakin because majority of it's popping and locking. But their dad did break. Problem is he got hurt and he ended up breaking his wrist. If you look at the end of Breakin 1, he is doing footwork and he is spinning, but then that's it. It's towards the end of the movie. But yeah, he was like, I got hurt, and now I'm not doing that shit again. I'm not doing that. And then also too, and probably people might get upset for me saying this, but Dad was a ladies' man, so he's like, I'm not getting my clothes dirty.
I want you to leave that girl alone.
Oh, and that yeah. So and there's that issue. And there's that issue. Oh yeah, he loves some goddamn clothes, man. He loves clothes, tailor-made suits, watches, you name it. He loved it. Yeah, he loves some gear. I remember one time back a number of years ago, but he took this picture with this I don't know if it was a locker reunion or what, but they all got together with the exception of Penguin. He had passed, and a couple of guys, they had the gear of what the lockers wearing, the suspenders, the big floppy hat things like that, and Dad rolled in 2000 Armani.
I ain't putting that on.
Those days are over, guys.
Yeah, it's like oh yeah, that's maybe the price is too expensive. I just said maybe it was like $1,000 or so. He goes, yeah, I'm gonna record. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna roll up in a 2000 Armani, and I'm suited, and I'm looking like why you that's like that. I get it, but it was just like, but Dad was love gear. Yeah.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Was Freddie Stubbs, was he in the lockers? No.
Yes.
Pop, yeah, that's when they say Penguin. When you talking about Penguin, that's Rerun.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
See,
I didn't know.
I know Freddie Stubbs, but that I don't know.
Yeah. Popping Penguin.
Penguin. Yeah,
I'm
Penguin.
going to mess around and lose my card, man. Hold on.
That's all good, man.
You in Germany, brother. You
It's all right.
I don't mess around and lose my card.
you can't come back to the States.
Yeah.
So okay, so then between those two were the breakout stars, or because now I don't know if I know anything. Was there anyone else from that crew that rose to prominence?
Toni Basil, right? So which her and my dad did a lot of work together. I remember if you look at the Mickey video, my dad's in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, word?
Yeah, there's two videos. There's like I think the first video, and then there's the one that we all know. But yeah, he's in one of those versions of Mickey video, and if I'm not mistaken, could be wrong, but I think he even worked with Talking Heads on what's that? Same as It Ever Was. What's the song? Help me out.
Same as it ever. Let the days go by. Let the days go by.
Yeah, on that. He's that. I
Sugar
think my
Man's
dad,
favorite song.
Yeah, I think my dad worked on that video with him.
Wow.
Okay.
And David Byrne was like, hey man, you're a
You
great
find
dancer.
yourself in a shotgun shack.
Yeah.
How did I get this wife?
And if you look, I don't know if he's called himself Shut Up Pop, but it's a little weird. But because of in another video, Talking Head song, the Electric Boogaloos are in that. Well, actually, Pete and Sam are in that.
I was at first. I think they say that's the first video to ever showcase that dance. What is the name of that? I saw it one day. I don't know where I was watching or whatever, but they said that's the first video to showcase that dance. It was the Talking Heads.
Yeah. So yeah, Pop's been in a lot of things. Then after that, Madonna tour, and episode of Miami Vice. Then later Madonna tour, and
I know you got. I know he has some Madonna stories. I know he has some Madonna stories.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
that's not for broadcast. That's not for broadcast.
Yeah, she was cool. I met her one time, but they had this big industry thing for Warner Brothers somewhere in Burbank. And I just remember it was like I don't say dress rehearsal, or maybe the tour for only like the investors and big wig people were only invited. I just remember rolling up and going into one of them huge studio bungalows. I mean, things are fucking huge, right? So going in there and costumes being moved and wires that are all over the place. And then Dad came out, and then Madonna came out, and she had the white robe on, slick blonde hair. And he's like, "This is Madonna." And we know. We know. And I'm a kid, and she goes, "How are you, young man? I've heard so much about you, and are you going to stay and watch the show?" And I was just so nervous. And I said, yeah, of course. And then it was a pleasure to meet you. And then went off into her dressing room, and Dad's like, "Well, I gotta go get ready and everything." So he goes off, and then I get lost, and I end up going into her dressing room, and
you got lost.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So and so had
you're lucky you made it out of there.
No, well, it was like, just wandered off, and then looking for my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so went in her dressing room, and there she was, and then she was like, "Oh, are you looking for your dad? Oh, he's in the room right next door. He's over there." So I was like, "Okay, thank you." But it was just like, dude, wow, that's something.
It's Madonna's dressing room,
right? Which was huge. It was huge, right? But yeah, so yeah, wonderful times, man. 1987. 1987. Wow.
1987.
Yeah, boy, the good old days, man. Just aged myself. I grew more gray hair saying that.
You're the young one here, brother.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about that.
I mean, you guys look really good, man. I mean, you guys don't look young. I mean, y'all don't look old. Pardon me. I didn't mean to say
that. Except Hollis.
Oh yeah. Man, you look like a music producer, fam. Like, man, be getting on that keyboard, write songs, something, man.
VQ. That's him.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, you look like type, man. Yeah, you.
Don't let him fool you.
Yeah, oh yeah, I already know. He probably hitting them keys.
He's big time,
man.
He's big time.
Oh no, keyboard is right here. The keyboard is right here. And so, did you ever think about making movies yourself?
Of course. And then saw how much of a headache it is, and I'm like, no. I'd rather just talk about it. No, seriously. Yeah, I did want to become a filmmaker, but found myself enjoying talking about more than actually making it.
Right on.
You know what I mean?
Y'all got anything more to, it's getting before Hollis's internet.
Yeah, you saw me freeze, right? You saw me freeze.
Okay.
If you run across Turbo's girl, let me know. Yeah, that's you run.
You got it. You got it.
Well, Vashawn, but thank you for being on, brother, and sharing these stories, your wealth and knowledge of film, and the same thing that Chuck said. I'll put up something, that person is this, and I'm like, oh, this brother, he knows every film that ever came out. But it looks, I love hearing the story, how you were inspired and what really, got you moving. And so anyway, just hearing your story. Thank you for coming on and sharing all this with us, brother.
Give your page information. Give your page information out, your podcast and your Instagram and all that information so everybody can have it.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 pages. You can follow me on the Vashawn Q page on IG, or you can follow me on Fear of a Black Film Critic POD IG. Either way, I'm there. So you ain't got any cinematic questions you need to answer, please come holler at me.
The guy.
Most importantly, again, because we all, all you gentlemen are Philly brothers, none of this would be possible without, obviously you guys invited me, but meeting you grooved the most. That was my guy. And I big that brother up every chance I get, man, because he was a true friend and brother, and probably only one I'll allow to say Lil Bro. He called me Lil Bro. That's it. I'll take it from Groove, because Groove, man, again, man, if it wasn't for him, I never got to meet the Cash Monies, Tap Monies, Cold Monies. I need money, ran out of money. All the money's up there in Philly. You know what I'm saying? Because of Grove, because Grove was like, yo man, call me up. And just, he goes, Rand Hill coming, and just pour his mind out, knowledge, someone who's very knowledgeable, someone who didn't think about tomorrow, who didn't think the next day, he thought next week. Whatever Groove put his mind to, he did it. He'll call me up, yo man, I'm gonna turn my basement into a studio. A week later, that basement is a studio. He said he's gonna build a mask, like some type of Terminator mask, so he'll DJ. Look like he built it. So it was like he whatever he said he was gonna do, he put his mind to it and did it. And man, just that him passing, man, it's really hurt my heart, man, because that was a good dude. So I'm glad all you gentlemen here who from Philly, my extended family now, and Philadelphia brothers. So man, I just had to bring it up. So one time for the most.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Cool. I think that's it.
We got to do this again.
Okay, sure.